Meet Clinton. Clinton is a 6-year-old boy going to school for the very first time. He is very nervous about going to school because the structure and organisation of a school is something very different to what he's used to. You see, Clinton is a member of the local Indigenous community and is attending a government school where only 20% of students are Indigenous. The school is in a regional area where the index of community socio-educational advantage is below the Australian average. For Clinton, English is not his first language. He speaks both his native Indigenous language as well as some Aboriginal English. As Clinton attends school, he will need to begin to learn to speak Australian Standard English and therefore code switch between the languages when he's at school.
Throughout Clinton's schooling years, and including the years beyond into adulthood, there will be a range of different factors that will influence his personal, social and moral development. Many of these influences will come from his school, his peers, his neighbourhood, but none more influential than his family. In Bronfenbrenner's bioecological theory of development, we would refer to these influences as Clinton's microsystem. Up until around the age of 18, Clinton will spend approximately 90% of his waking hours outside of school under the guidance of his parents. Given this, however, when we look at Clinton's parents' economic situation and lifestyle, you could be easily forgiven to think that their influence on their son is nothing short of concerning. Both his mother and father have experienced long-term unemployment, which likely stems from their limited educational background. Their parenting style is somewhat hands-off in many aspects of his life, including his education. Furthermore, his parents do not hold high expectations with regard to succeeding at school. Clinton's thoughts towards his new school contribute to attitudes such as a reluctance to engage in learning and his lack of confidence in connecting with other students.
As a Year 4 student, Clinton is exposed to an additional subject called LOTE. At his school, all of the students are required to learn Indonesian. Clinton feels disheartened by this as he believes that his local Indigenous language, the Wankatha language, should be taught at his school so that his culture and heritage can be preserved. Clinton begins to question himself. Wankatha is a language other than English. Why don't students learn this?
As Clinton continues to grow as an individual, his development is very much influenced by the way the elements of his microsystem interact with each other. For example, his teacher is part of his microsystem just as his parents are. So too is the school he attends and the community in which he lives. Clinton's parents very rarely attend parent-teacher meetings, which inhibits his educational opportunities and realising his true academic potential. Clinton's teacher feels that his parents' attitudes towards his schooling is indifferent, and Clinton's parents feel that it's his teacher's responsibility to motivate their son to learn and succeed at school. This interaction we're seeing between the teacher and the parent makes up part of what is known as the mesosystem. Here we can see how the ineffective relationship between these elements has a direct influence on Clinton's development.
When Clinton is in Year 7, his teacher is beginning to prepare him for high school. His teacher's hope is that he will encourage her students to take responsibility for their own learning and develop productive study habits. However, this style of learning is not suited to Clinton's needs and the general learning style of Aboriginal children. One way to combat this issue is to adopt a different teaching practice or method. They could do lots of hands-on, and then the paper and pen stuff could come after concepts were well and truly understood. By not forcing concepts to paper and pen too early, it gives students time to work it out for themselves. As a Year 7 student, it is anticipated that Clinton will complete the NAPLAN testing conducted in early second term. As an Indigenous student who speaks English as a second language, Clinton is severely disadvantaged. NAPLAN testing was introduced into the curriculum to increase accountability to support the aims of social justice through raising standards. The nature of the testing is based on the student's ability to sit behind a desk, answer a set of questions within a time limit. Clinton will be disadvantaged through this as he is more of a visual and tactile learner. and has difficulty keeping to a time limit, as time is of little consequence in his culture.
With 20% of Clinton's school student population being Aboriginal, this puts them into a minority group, and as such the school's outreach and exposure to the Aboriginal community is somewhat limited. As a consequence, Clinton is seeing and hearing that the Aboriginal community to which he is tied feels that Indigenous values and culture is poorly represented at his local rural school. Whilst Clinton has no direct role in this situation, we can still see that this has a powerful influence on his life. This societal influence is referred to as the exosystem. Clinton's life is largely developed around the strong ties to Aboriginal culture and values that his parents see as the height of importance. Whilst there is a great significance to uphold and maintain such strong ties, this is also contributing to the detriment of Clinton's physical and educational well-being. As Clinton ages, his values and beliefs on what is important will continue to be influenced by his parents. The fact that his parents demonstrate little importance on education and have lived a long existence of being unemployed, again, these values and circumstances will influence the way Clinton thinks and feels about such things. The nature of this scope of influence is referred to as the macrosystem.
As Clinton has progressed through school, he has felt that his non-Indigenous teachers simply did not know enough about how to teach Indigenous children. Despite the best intentions and commitment from many of his teachers, most had inadequate understanding of appropriate pedagogies and the complexities of Indigenous cultures, knowledge and identities. Clinton has become disengaged as the strategies that are being used to teach him, whilst have been proven to be successful with non-Indigenous students, are often ineffective for Indigenous students. Schooling systems generally perpetuate a view of learning that fails to take into account culturally diverse practices, beliefs, and values. This discourages Clinton as he feels that what he is learning isn't relevant to him in the way in which he lives.
Over the many years of Clinton's schooling experiences, it is evident that he's become progressively both disillusioned and continually disappointed. Due to his family's long-term poor financial position, Clinton has not been able to afford things like his own laptop for school, which most of his peer students now have, or attend the increasing number of school excursions and events. Clinton is also finding that his parents are now becoming more reliant on him to deal with complex issues such as dealing with social services and the unemployment office. Just as the elements of Clinton's micro and mesosystems change over time, so too does the way his chronosystem influence his development.
Clinton was exposed to several inequities and inequalities. He experienced inequities when the strategies used to teach him weren't suited to his needs or learning style. Teachers in this situation could play a more active and inclusive role in Clinton's learning by taking the time to learn more about him and his culture. They could also adapt their teaching methods and develop a strong working relationship with the school's AEIO. Clinton was exposed to inequalities as his opportunities were lessened due to his family's financial circumstances. Schools with students in this situation should consider putting in measures in which special consideration or subsidisation could be used to help these families wherever possible. With Clinton's limited education, his opportunities for further employment have now become severely limited, thus continuing the generational poverty within his family.